Hello, this is the Bible in Fewer Words. We are Carol and Steve Wells. This is episode 211, the book of Daniel, chapter 3. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Carol.
One chapter an episode.
This is a famous Bible story. It's one that shows up in a lot of children's Bibles.
Huh.
Yeah, so it'll be familiar to most people.
All right, should we go ahead?
Mm-hmm. Chapter 3, verse 1. Nebuchadnezzar made a gold image, 60 cubits high and 6 cubits wide.
And how much is a cubit?
They call this a long cubit.
Okay.
So it's a little bit longer than the usual one, which is about 18 inches or so.
Oh.
So it would be at least 90 feet tall and almost 10 feet wide. So it's a big statue.
And why wouldn't you think it could be a mural instead of a statue?
I really don't know what it is,
Okay.
And I don't think it's clear in the text. So it's an image, so I would guess it's some kind of statue, and it's probably a statue of him.
All right. That's a big statue.
Really huge statue. Yeah, I did some calculations on that, and to build this statue, it would take a lot of gold.
Yeah.
If it was solid gold.
All right, verse 2. He told everyone to come to its dedication ceremony.
So everyone came, and an official cried out, "When you hear the music, fall down and worship the golden image. Whoever fails to do so will be cast into a fiery furnace."
That's a pretty awful threat.
Yeah.
Little kids running around and not doing what their mama says.
Right. Whoever doesn't do it. I wonder what kind of music they were playing. But when you hear the music, then you have to fall down and worship this statue or image.
Verse 7. So when the people heard the music, they fell down and worshipped the image. Good idea.
Yeah. But some people went to the king and said to him, "Some of the Jews, specifically Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, refused to worship the golden image."
Those narcs. King Nebuchadnezzar was angry and commanded Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to be brought to him.
These guys with the funny names, those are Daniel's companions.
Oh, the smart guys.
Yeah,
Smart science guys. When they arrived, the king said to them, "Do you refuse to worship the golden image? If so, I'll cast you into the fiery furnace."
They answered, "Our God will protect us from the fiery furnace, but even if he doesn't, we won't worship your gods." So maybe it's a statue of the Nebuchadnezzar's god.
Oh, yeah.
Gods instead of him.
This made the king even more angry. He commanded that the furnace be 7 times as hot and that they be thrown into it.
So they were cast into the furnace, but because the furnace was so hot, the men who cast them in burned in the flames of the fire.
And how about the people they threw in? Did they also burn?
Well, we're going to find that out. but the guys who threw them in
they burned.
Yeah, because it got so hot.
I guess so.
Seven times as hot. Yeah.
Verse 24. The king said to his men, "Didn't we cast 3 men into the fire?"
His men said, "Yes, we did."
And then the king said, "Well, then why do I see 4 men walking around the fire without being burned?"
And one of them looks like the Son of God.
Oh.
Now, some Christians think, because that's the way it's phrased in the King James Version, and some translations put it that way, that the Son of God, well, that must be Jesus. So Jesus was there. He was seeing Jesus. And Jesus was saving him from the flames.
Yeah.
So that's a representation that people sometimes make, but it certainly doesn't say that. Remember how Satan was talking to God with the other sons of God?
Yes.
And then how the sons of God came and had sex with the daughters of men in Genesis? It's probably more like one of those sons, or maybe just a plain old angel.
A plain old angel. Verse 28, then he walked over to the edge of the fiery furnace and said, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, come here."
So they came out of the furnace. Not a single hair was burned, neither were their coats. They didn't even smell smoky.
I don't think I realized that they were actually in the furnace, but they weren't burning. So the king said in verse 28, "Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who sent an angel to save them."
From now on, whoever says anything bad about the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego will be cut into pieces, and their houses will become a dunghill, because their God is the best.
So
Sounds
wait a
like
second.
something he'd say, right?
Nebuchadnezzar just abandoned his gods now.
Yeah.
And is going to join the Jewish God.
Yeah, it kind of sounded like maybe that big statue that he made, that 100-foot tall statue
Yes.
of gold of his God, because they said, we're not going to worship your God. But now he's convinced. Well, it's pretty convincing. Threw them in that super hot fire. They didn't smell smoky or have their hair burned or anything.
Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive. But one thing that stands out here is that, remember, he already became a Jew.
Nebuchadnezzar.
In the last episode when Daniel interpreted his dream, he said, oh, well, heck, blessed be you and your God. Everybody's got to worship Daniel, right?
He was a Jew for a day.
Yeah, so he's becoming a Jew here again. Like the king, the most powerful man in the world, really, at the time, Nebuchadnezzar, is going to just say, oh, yeah, I'm a Jew now. I'm with you. I'm with your God. Anyway, that's what he did. And the king promoted the three guys. I'm going to avoid their names.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Sometimes they're named one thing, I guess maybe the Hebrew version, and sometimes they're given their Babylonian equivalent name. I think maybe these are the Babylonian equivalents. But do you notice something that's left out of this, or that's something that's missing from this
Daniel.
chapter? Yes.
Where the heck is Daniel?
Yeah, it's a very strange thing, because Daniel is clearly the hero of the whole story, the whole book.
Yeah.
Supposedly written by him even. And yet he doesn't even show up in this. You know, he was so important in the last one. He wouldn't be worshiping this statue when the music played.
Nope.
So he would have been thrown in as well.
Yeah.
But he's not even
just
mentioned.
Absent. He's not even there. Maybe he's on some mission for Nebuchadnezzar.
That is what some of the Christians say. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly
I've missed
the
my
argument.
calling.
Yeah. That he was away. He was
busy.
He was his chief of staff, so he was busy in official business.
Yeah.
That's why he wasn't there. But the text itself does not say that.
No. That is kind of an interesting story.
Yeah. So you'd never heard the fiery furnace thing before.
You know, when we read it, my mind kind of went, oh, yeah. God saved them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
This is one that will be read in church. You know, a lot of the stuff that we've covered in our podcasts, you won't hear in church. And you'll never hear about it in any church. So you have to read it on your own. And so few people do.
Yep.
They read selective parts. You know, they read from the Gospel of John, and they read from the Psalms, a little bit from Genesis here or there. But mostly you just kind of stay away from the Bible.
Mm-hmm. Well, as we are discovering, it takes a little bit of an effort to get through it.
Oh, for sure.
And to try to figure it out.
It takes an effort, and it also takes an effort to find some way of still believing.
Yes.
You really have to work at it. You know, you have to say, oh, well, yeah, sure. God had Ezekiel lay on his side for 390 days on his left side and then 40 days on his right. Things like that happen. It's for such a good reason.
So people probably are saying things like, you know, I can't read the Bible because it's got all these horrible things there about God, and I might be led astray.
People know enough about the good book to know that it's bad. And that they better stay away from it. And so it's always, I'm going to read the Bible. What's Dad doing? He's reading the Bible. He's not reading the Bible. or at least not to think too much about it. Mm-hmm. You know, some people do read the Bible. They read the whole Bible, but you have to just go through it.
Yep.
And not dwell on it, not think about it, not realize that, hey, this is kind of inconsistent with this other part of the Bible.
I wonder what that means.
Yeah. Or some of these things are just so atrocious that it couldn't possibly be in the Bible. But there it is. There must be some good explanation for it. I'm just going to go on to the next chapter.
You know, when my friends say, so what's Steve doing? He's reading the Bible. And when I say that, I'm really saying that, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been reading the Bible for a long time, honey.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. And it's not my favorite book.
Okay, well, listeners, thanks for staying with us today, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.